Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fun slate of information to talk about concerning the Dallas Cowboys and the latest news, rumors, and updates coming out of the Star. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular. I promise you, I am the most consistent Cowboys YouTuber out there. Be sure to subscribe. Let's get it. All right, we'll do this rapid fire style. So, some news concerning the Cowboys' day 1 or day 2 draft picks. Ashton Jeanty could find himself in a Cowboys uniform before April is done. If not, there's no question the club will expend a pick, likely in day 2, to address a position that's ignored in the draft in recent years. This is a report coming from David Moore of the Dallas Morning News, and essentially he's solidifying the idea that the Cowboys are in fact trying to pick one of the premier running backs out of this year's draft class. Now, if we take a look at all the 40-yard dashes from the running backs at the NFL Combine, because obviously we want burners, then you will see the top-ranked running backs by way of 40-yard dash will be Bashill Tootin from Virginia Tech with a 4.32, Jaden Blue, the running back from Texas, with a 4.38, Brashard Smith, the SMU running back, with a 4.39. Then you have RJ Harvey, Montrell Johnson Jr., Trevor Etienne, and DJ Giddens was also up there as well. Ahead of guys like Trevion Henderson and Amarion Hampton. He's ahead of Keyshawn Jenkins, Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson ran a 4.57 on his 40. Ollie Gordon ran a 4.6. So if we're looking for running backs that are able to actually separate from the defense, guys who are going to have big play capabilities, then you're definitely going to be looking at a DJ Giddens. I think DJ Giddens is a name we damn sure need to keep an eye on as Dallas Cowboys fans, because remember, his ties with the coach from Kansas State, Connor Riley, he came from there. DJ Giddens was a big part of what Connor Riley was doing at Kansas State, so there is that inside track there. I would not be surprised at all if we see the DJ Giddens in Dallas, especially after posting one of the top combine 40-yard dash times at a 4.43. Now, that pretty much wraps up the draft stuff I want to get into. Now, let's get into some news and rumors / a little bit of drama a little bit with the Cowboys. And we're going to start with the news that the Cowboys will be in the market for a number 2 receiver behind CeeDee Lamb. This is an article written by Dan Graziano from ESPN. It says, quote, "They have some hope that Jonathan Mingo, their trade deadline acquisition from Carolina, can evolve into that. But obviously it's too soon to know, and they will be in the market to add at that position. They could end up being a Cooper Kupp suitor if his price drops far enough. Dallas also will look to add a dynamic player at running back to pair with Rico Dowdle, who finished the season strong for them." Now, this is actually interesting to me because Cooper Kupp is a name that I wouldn't be against at all. Contrary to popular belief, Cooper Kupp would actually be a better pickup than someone like a Deebo Samuel is. He was actually the more productive player last season than Deebo Samuel by way of yardage and scoring touchdowns. Cooper Kupp scored 6, Deebo scored 3. Deebo had like 630 yards on the season. Cooper Kupp had a little bit over 700 yards. So while both guys are more diminished versions of what they once were, Cooper Kupp is the better player still. I have no clue why people are sitting here trying to act like Deebo Samuels is the same Deebo Samuels that was running out there 2 or 3 seasons ago in that Kyle Shanahan system. The last 2 years, he's been on a downslope and been injured. Yes, Cooper Kupp has also been a little bit more injured, but I'm going to be honest. I trust Cooper Kupp's work ethic a lot more than Deebo Samuels. I think that's what it boils down to. You really would be rolling the die with either one of those guys as it pertains to them staying healthy, but I trust Cooper Kupp's work ethic. Cooper Kupp is a more complete receiver. He's a real wide receiver threat. Deebo Samuels, honestly, is more of a running back at this point in his career. His route running is lackluster. He's best on drags and stuff like that, where he's coming across the field and able to get the ball and run after the catch. And even then, he posted some of his career lows in yardage after the catch last season. So if the Cowboys were to make a move like a Cooper Kupp and maybe trade away a 5th-round pick, one of those 3 5th-round picks they have, similar compensation that was having to be given up for a Deebo Samuels, and somehow not have to eat majority of that money that he is owed, and the Rams do end up eating like half of his contract, that is an absolute win, and it can't hurt as long as the Cowboys still plan to draft another wide receiver. That's the one caveat for me. They still have to draft another wide receiver or I will be upset. I ain't gonna lie to you. Now, let's move to some free agency news because we do have some. Osa Odighizuwa is expected to be franchise tagged if they cannot work out a deal over the course of the next day, essentially, because the deadline to franchise tag players is tomorrow at the time of me making this video. So it's Tuesday this week. And if Osa's deal isn't done by then and announced by then, expect him to be franchise tagged for the purpose of the Cowboys retaining his rights. So Dan Quinn can't be waiting on his doorstep with a fresh batch of brownies like, hi neighbor, come on to Washington, right? We don't want that to happen. We want Osa to stay in Dallas. I know I do at least, because you don't find good 3 techs just falling off of trees, especially not this year in free agency. And if you're trying to look at the draft and thinking that a drafted defensive tackle is going to come in and make the same impact Osa Odighizuwa is making right now, you are sadly mistaken. Usually rookie defensive tackles take 2 to 3 seasons to really get their sea legs under them before you start to see them really take their final form. And Osa Odighizuwa is essentially coming to his prime now and getting a better coaching staff, what we assume, right? So I want Osa here, not at 25.1, so they absolutely have to work out a long-term deal if they place that franchise tag on them, or they have screwed themselves. Now, I don't think at all they need to play with Osa Odighizuwa on his franchise tag, because it's ultimately only going to bite them. What if he comes out, has a monster all-pro type of season or something with his new coaching staff? Then you got to really break the bank for him and you screwed yourself. So go ahead and pay him this season, but it is smart to use the franchise tag if you can't agree to a number right now in this moment, so that way no one can poach your biggest free agent this offseason, because Osa Odighizuwa is our biggest free agent and you don't want teams taking that guy from you. So I like that move. I don't think anybody should panic about the use of a franchise tag in this type of way. If it's only used to retain the rights of players, I think it's perfectly fine, because that's a savvy move to make. And now if he actually has to play it out, then that's a mistake, and we're going to call it what it is. Speaking of contracts, we have Calvin Watkins reporting that the Cowboys have in fact started general conversations with the agent for Micah Parsons about a contract extension. 2 people with knowledge of the discussions tell Dallas Morning News Cowboys. Now, this is notable for 2 reasons. One, they started general discussions already. It is just the first week of March. The Cowboys are moving a little bit more briskly than they normally do, and I think that's exactly what fans should be excited about. Micah Parsons will be locked in as a fixture on this team. With that being said, if he is going to end up signing a contract here, we are going to support our guy. We are going to hope the best for him. We're going to hope that he becomes that defensive player of the year. We're going to hope that he taps into that future all-time great type of caliber player that he is, and he really becomes everything that we know he can be for the Dallas Cowboys. 2, it's also going to be very interesting to see if Micah Parsons keeps his word. I want to see if we're going to see him get the highest paid contract in the NFL, or if we're going to get a contract, we're going to be like, oh yeah, he clearly took a discount on behalf of the Cowboys. I want to see if he's a man of his word and he's going to put his money where his mouth is as it pertains to that, because we all praised him for even floating the idea that he would do it, and no one would deny that on the Joneses' behalf. So if he doesn't do it, we know then he was just capping to us and just saying stuff that he wanted us to hear. But either way, we are going to support our guy, because he is what looks to be going to be a Dallas Cowboy for the foreseeable future, unless the Cowboys pull some fugazi stuff. But Micah Parsons' contract discussions have begun. The Cowboys are moving a little bit differently this offseason. In no way did we hear contract discussions had begun last season with Dak and CD by this time in the offseason. So you guys have to come up off the hill, man. Those of y'all that are like, I don't know why you're so afraid to just enjoy following your team during the offseason. I don't know why you're so afraid to just be excited about anything that can or cannot happen, because guess what? Anything in life you can be excited about, then it can be ripped from you. It's not just the Cowboys, man. Life is short, y'all. It is way too short for you to be holding excitement for hostage. Be excited about your team until you can't anymore. And that's just the way I'm approaching this, because it's more fun that way. If you are too emotionally weak to be able to be excited about something and then that thing not go the way you might have been excited about it going, if you're too emotionally weak to be able to just take that on the chin and keep it moving and be like, better luck next time, then that's your problem. That's a personal problem that you need to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and do some personal affirmations to fix. You need to be a better fan. You need to hold yourself accountable for that, because sitting here whining and crying about the last 30 years to everybody who's willing to listen and everybody who's not willing to listen doesn't help or do a damn thing, and it's not going to change anything. And quite frankly, I'm over it. I don't care to hear it. Those of y'all have been watching my channel for a while, and I don't care to hear it. You're likely going to get that comment removed or blocked if it keeps up, because we're tired of hearing it. Can we please just enjoy the off season like everyone else and be excited until we shouldn't be excited anymore? That's all I'm asking. Holy crap. You guys are way too emotionally unstable. The other bit of news I wanted to get into concerning Trevon Diggs, and this is something that we've kind of been touching on a little bit, and now we're starting to hear more and more whispers coming out. And I'm going to say this, guys. You guys are sadly mistaken if you don't think that there's employees or people that were employed by the Dallas Cowboys that are out there talking to people, and those people just happen to have Twitter accounts, and those people might just be anonymous on those Twitter accounts, and you really have no clue who you're interacting with on Twitter. I'm going to say this right now. I can say I've heard similar things as it pertains to a Trevon Diggs. I can neither confirm nor deny the Cowboys are shopping Diggs, but he wore out his welcome with the old staff, and new staff doesn't really want anything to do with him. Feeling is mutual there. Allegedly. All of this is allegedly. It's all a report. It's all pretty much non-verifiable because we know anybody attached to it is going to deny it, so it will probably never be verified. But I can tell you this. This is a common thing that I've heard as it pertains to not only Trevon Diggs, but his brother as well, and Burgers and Blitz kind of touched on that a little bit as well as it pertains to the Diggs brother, and just their very high maintenance personalities. They're very moody. They have attitudes. They think a lot of themselves, and they don't like to be corrected. They don't like to be critiqued, and they don't really like to be led for real. They buck structure, and they're just difficult people to deal with, according to people who have worked close to or around those guys. I have no personal experience with any of these guys myself, whether it be Trevon Diggs or Stefon Diggs, so I have no personal thoughts about them at all. I need to make sure I'm very clear about that. I have no personal qualms with any of these guys because I do not know them. I am only relaying things that I have heard to make sense of some of the things that we see floating around in the Dallas Cowboys community. And if I have extra context to add to any given situation, I'm going to add that context because that's the benefit of having a platform that I built up, right? So this right here, I think this type of stuff is what's leading into the Cowboys. Again, remember, it was all about culture. It was all about accountability. It was all about the right type of guys. It was all about guys who really love football. It was all about guys that wanted to be better and give it their all, give 100% in the training room, on the field, in the classroom. Brian Schottenheimer said all this stuff, and I think when you start seeing some of these names pop up like a Trevon Diggs and some of these other guys, some of these names that may not be here, you start to look and really see, did they check those boxes? Just from the outside looking in, I can tell you Diggs does come off as a guy that may be a little bit difficult to deal with. They may have gotten a little too caught up into the celebrity of being an NFL player. And that's just being completely honest. It's just my outward opinion. Looking at what I look at on the outside, right? Outside of that, he could be a great person. He could be an amazing person. I'm sure he's a great family man, great father, all that stuff. We see him with his son all the time. I'm sure Diggs is an amazing human being. But I am just trying to help piece this together for you guys so it all makes sense for all of us. And while we may be seeing some of the things that we're seeing combined with his lack of productivity on the field the last 2 seasons and him being difficult in the building and that type of thing, that is not going to bode well for anyone. And I would be doing you guys a disservice if I had some insight to any of that or any analysis that I could give that could make sense of this stuff, and I didn't give it just based off of being scared to make people who are super fans that may have some of these guys' jerseys in their closets mad. I'm not scared to do that. If you got their jerseys in your closet, good for you. But I'm still going to tell the truth. I still love all these guys. I still hope the best for them. I still hope they have the most successful seasons of their career every next season, right? I hope that that's the case for them. Every time there's a next season for these guys, I hope they have the most successful season of their career. But I'm still going to be honest along the way, and that's just keeping it a buck, right? But either way, that wraps up the Dallas Cowboys' latest news and rumors. Let me know down in the comments below what piqued your interest as it pertains to today's news drop, and what do you think about everything we talked about. Until next time, how about them Cowboys? Peace.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.